group I'm part of, what number?
What,
I think
can't,
we didn't have a number.
I don't think
Oh,
you had
okay.
it. Whatever,
Whoever, whatever, okay.
yeah. So who wants to go first? And share a little bit
I will-
about what you talked about.
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Terry.
We did, we agreed that this was a good idea to break up the, into a blended format for our chapter of elections. And I think I'm the only one who said this, but, or discussed this, but I said that I would prefer not to do it on the Friday night before the election. So I just thought that would make a late night and possibly a tiring day on Saturday for those of us who have to attend both. So, but that's up to everybody. And then we talked about, there were a lot of questions from people about how we do conduct the election and who can be there, who votes actually, and who the person is who would be the delegate. So, and we also agreed that the virtual one would be very good with everybody able to attend if they wanted to. And the voting.
Terry keeps.
She keeps freezing up there, Terry. Well, to answer her questions, the voting members are the members of the REC and the local ministers. Those are the voting members. Now, if a local minister cannot attend, they can appoint a delegate from their fraternity to represent them. And that person then would be the voting member to represent that fraternity. So that would be an answer to those questions that she had. Okay. So Terry's still frozen there. Hopefully she come back. She can come back here. Who wants to go? Another group? Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Our group did mention, like Terry did, about not wanting it on the Friday night before. They don't want to do the Zooming the Friday night before because like Beth, you know, her and her husband would like to make it into a getaway. And so they'd probably come up, you know, that night before. And there might be other people who want to do that too. And then we talked about, you know, the location. For some people, it'll be driving farther than what they're used to. But for others, it'll be better. And then we talked about the duties of the counselor, what the counselors do, the 4 counselors, and how they, you know, how they work together, and how there is support for them, and directions are written down as to what to do and things like that.
Cool.
I think that was all right, Beth?
I think so.
That sounds good. And you bring up a good point. Who's here? Is Sharon here yet? Sharon, you're a counselor. Do you want to just briefly talk a little bit about, because that was a discussion in that group, but for the whole group here, what is the duty of a counselor? So everybody kind of has an idea what that is.
Oh, well, what we would normally do would be the visitation, the fraternal visitation every 3 years to the local fraternities. And then we would write up a report following that visit. That's the main, you know, the main duty. Of course, you have to attend the REC meetings about every other month, is usually how we schedule it. In some cases, we also preside at elections when the minister of the regional minister, in our case, Jeff, if he cannot make an election, he delegates the counselor to preside. And I think basically those are the main responsibilities, right, Jeff?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. You know, but
Okay.
this, you know, each counselor usually is in charge of a group of fraternities, and you know, it's just good to kind of keep in contact, you know, especially now with the COVID situation, keep in contact with those fraternities. How are things going? You know, I think communication's a big big part of that too. So good, excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Jeff?
Is that Terry? Is that you?
Yeah, I had to call because I lost the internet connection. I don't know what happened.
Okay, well, you're in, so thank you.
Good.
Did there anything more you wanted to
So-
add from your report before you froze up? I think you kind of.
When did I freeze up?
You kind of froze up there right when you were asking some questions about, who can vote. And we kind of went through and answered those questions about who can vote. The REC members
Okay.
vote and the local fraternity ministers vote.
Right.
And if a local fraternity member cannot attend, then they choose a delegate to represent the fraternity, and that person has voting power.
Right. Okay. And then we also discussed the fact that another important position was the formation director and the co-director for formation, as well as 4 to 6 people in the formation team. So hopefully people will be ready to serve in that capacity as well. And that we need at least 8 names for the counselors, the regional counselors, 2 for each position, counselor 1, counselor 2, and so on. So that was about it.
Okay. Sounds good. Bob, you want to comment about that?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and point out, as I did in our group there, that we must have 2 people for position for an election to happen. National will not go and do it with only 1 person on a position. There must be 2. You can also have a person or people who might agree to run for multiple offices. And if that person doesn't get selected for one office, then they can jump on down to another office. The same thing for counselors. I mean, if we had 5 counselors, then theoretically you could have 2 people running for each of the council positions. Or what they might possibly do is have 1 vote for all 4 positions at once, and the top 4 would go and take it if there was majorities for them. The thing is, we have to have a majority of the votes of a quorum in order to do the election. And right now, as my calculations is that we would have 17 fraternities represented, and we would have 7 council members, REC members represented. That's a total of 24. And in order to have a quorum, we have to have at least 13 votes for a position, and that would be the majority. The final thing I had to mention here is that when we talk about appointing a delegate by the ministers, that's perfectly fine. But let's not forget that that delegation has to be in writing, and Kathy, our secretary, has to have that so that she has a record of that.
Good point. And Bob, and I'm thinking when I think back at our previous elections, when they voted those counselors, I think they went through and they took, everybody who was running, they would go through, okay, cast your votes, then whoever was remaining, then those people would be for the next group. And then I think that's the way it worked for those counselor positions, if I remember correct.
Yes, it did.
So theoretically, you wouldn't need 8, you probably would only need 5 people running for those, theoretically, if you think about it.
At the last election, I was on the nominating committee and we had 11 people, different people running for counselors.
Praise God.
So good, that'd be awesome if we get that number running.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, good. Charlie, question.
In regards to fraternities today that aren't represented, are you going to send out, is somebody recording this information and it being sent out to them? Like, we didn't have a call in or check in before we began this evening. And maybe that's my fault, I don't know. But anyhow, not to fault anybody. You know, like St. Joseph's and Wind Lake,
Wind Lake is here.
Wind Lake is here, great. I don't think St. Joseph's is here or the, what's the other one?
Kathy would know who
Well,
we met.
I have the names all written down of who's here. So I would know who's not here.
And are you taking minutes of this, Kathy?
Oh,
or-
yeah, I'm taking notes.
Okay.
And I am
'Cause
also,
think there's some information that was shared today that's vitally important to make sure that the ministers get it.
Well, they should be here.
yeah, exactly.
Well-
Or, you know, I asked them to send a representative too, so. And I'm also recording this, Charlie, so I
Okay.
plan on, uploading these I've recorded 2 videos, the one before the breakout and now the one after. So we're gonna have 2 videos here and I'm gonna upload those and I can send them out to everybody and they'll be able to view this also.
Wonderful, wonderful.
All right, what other group are we missing yet that hasn't shared?
Group 2.
Okay, go
Sharon
ahead.
Davis.
Aaron?
Okay, I think generally our group said it was a great idea to propose that besides the face-to-face, which would just be the voting members, our group of 4 was pretty unanimous in the fact that we said we would prefer no other people to be invited just for the sake of safety on that Saturday after morning/afternoon. A great idea to include Zoom because maybe we will have a couple of nominations from what we used to call from the floor, which would actually be the Zoom people probably. And we also discussed the fact that we thought Friday evening before the elections, that would be June 25th, would be a good time to do all the other chapter business. That's it.
What day?
The Friday before, the June 25th.
Then we'd be busy all evening and then all day, ministers certainly, and then all day Saturday.
Well,
Right.
normally we would cover all of this, Terry, over a weekend. And I don't think, besides the situation with the Treasury voting, there's not going to be too much business, except maybe what the national people might have a short presentation on this or that. But I don't think it's going to be all evening.
The thing is, we will have many, many people there, maybe 30, 40 people there. So and we have a lot of issues that people want to talk about at our chapter. So I'm thinking it will be longer than maybe you're thinking.
Okay, well, I came in late to this large group discussion, so I don't know what the other groups, what did they think about? Excuse me, the right time to do the rest of the business.
I think right now we've heard 2 sides. There's one group that says, it's going to be too much to do on a Friday night. And then there's another group like you that says maybe we should get it done on a Friday night. We could, depending on how you guys think, we could do it over a couple nights. Maybe we could start on a Thursday night and do some stuff that way. We could do it little by little. It depends. We could talk.
5:30.
We can it's 5:30. So we want to get through this meeting. But a thing I'm thinking about, Sharon and Terry, is this. I think we need to send out this more than ever. Maybe in the past we would have a lot of presentations and stuff at chapter. I think this particular chapter, we will send out our reports, and I'm expecting people to read over the reports. And so when we come together, we can just go over questions that people have. You know what I'm saying? So Bob will send out his financial budget, his report. People will read it over. They'll be familiar with it. And so then when we meet that time, hopefully that will be, because a lot of times Bob will present that the day of the chapter and people are looking it over, they're reading it over. So maybe if they're prepared ahead of time, that might cut down. That's one of my hopes for this chapter.
Excellent.
We also, our ministers will be giving a 3-minute or 4-minute talk. Is that right?
And then once again, I'm expecting that to be written. So if anybody,
okay.
so I'm expecting everybody to write that out, send that written out via email. People can read it over.
Okay.
And then when we gather, that will cut down on time. People will be able to read over the reports and then, okay, hey, that's a cool idea you're doing over there at your fraternity. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I read this in your report. So if there's some questions about those things, people can bring up those questions. But I'm thinking to cut down on time, we're not going to have individual reports from each fraternity. They'll be written out.
Okay.
People will read them. And then we'll just be able there to answer questions the day when we meet via Zoom. Okay?
I like that.
All right, good.
Would we send those to Kathy then, and then she'll distribute?
I think that's the best thing to do, yeah. Send them to
Yeah,
Kathy, and then Kathy will be able to distribute those to all of the local fraternities, and then they'll, think about when we come to chapter, we usually get like a folder there with a bunch of information in. Now it's probably going to be a bunch of information sent to you via email, and you're going to have to go through and read over that stuff before we meet. So go ahead, Bob.
Kathy, when would you have to have that information by so you will have time to collate it and get it out to everybody?
Well, how about, let's see, June. How about June 7th?
That sounds good.
What day is that?
That's a Monday.
Monday, okay.
So we'll write that in there, June 7th.
Oh, for me, it'll be May 7th.
Make sure you get it.
And the other point I wanted to remind people of that Friday night is that some of us are going to be traveling,
Mm-hmm.
On Friday night. We're not going to be near our computers.
And another thing about that Friday night is that we have to include National in our business meetings.
Yeah.
And I assume these people from National are going to be traveling during that time period coming.
Sure.
Do you know, where does he live again? Dennis Ross. Do you remember, Bob, where he lives, Dennis? Where's he coming from?
Well, I don't remember where Dennis is coming from.
Yeah, it's somewhere, I can't remember. And do you know the friar, Leanne, who's coming?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
He is new, isn't he? And isn't he isn't he temporarily in Milwaukee right
Yeah,
now?
that's what that's what I heard. He was
Oh.
in Milwaukee temporarily.
so that's good. So he won't have to travel that far. So, but anyway, but Dennis, I'm not sure where he's traveling from, when he's going to get in here and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it might be difficult to do that on that Friday, all of it. So maybe
Yeah.
some of it we could, but maybe, I don't know. But Leanne, go ahead.
I too wanted to say that Friday wouldn't be a good time for traveling because Kathy and I travel together anyway. And it's so, and that's one piece. So maybe it's another night besides Friday night. But then the other piece is too, and I think this is really critical, and Jerome would mention this himself, but he has to go quick for the Capuchins right now. And he said somewhere along the line, when we're all together, we should mention that it's the 800th anniversary, for us. And so that coming forward, and I think this is so important for us to do. We've gone through so much with the COVID, and things are getting a little better at a time. And so to create this new vision, it's going to be a little different life when we finally can all be out again. And so for us to not put, and this is where I get kind of itchy sometimes, that we put all the legal stuff about, we have to do this for election, we have to do this and have so many and all that kind of stuff. And we miss the big picture. So,
Amen.
so Jerome and I are really, really wanting us to talk with those who are elected, that potentially not on the day of their election, but the next gathering, to create a vision. So usually we have an August gathering and there's a transfer of materials, but we've got to, in our fraternities, we sometimes also get caught up in the nuts and bolts, that we lose our way. And so I'd like us to take a real good look at the percentage of time we spend on nuts and bolts and the percentage of time we spend on also growing our education, our formation, and spirituality.
Good point. Maybe we could have a couple nights, maybe one night, Zoom could be business stuff and another night could be, formation, spirituality. Maybe that's a way we kind of go through and run it.
Yeah.
Once again, these are just ideas I'm thinking. So,
Right.
okay, good. Joanne.
Yes, I would like just to point out the Formation Fridays for the last 5 Formation Fridays have been on the international preparation for their celebrating their chapter. And she has outlined beautifully 5 ways of looking at their preparatory proposal about animating and guiding our servant leadership. And I would suggest that as a spiritual way of discerning and looking at the future, is giving some time to reflecting over those Formation Fridays. There's just really beautiful images that she has put out about servant leadership, about challenges in the fraternity, about formation, and also about how to prepare for the new fraternity formation for the new councils. And it's just lovely material, as well as the document that the International has put together for their general chapter that's coming up in November of 2021.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. Are we missing one more group yet? Or did we get all 4? I can't remember now. I thought we only had 3 of them.
Well, I was the 4th one.
Okay, you were the 4th one. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so we got some ideas. What do people think about chapter? Should we run it, like on a Thursday, Friday, or should we run it like, sometime during that week? Should we do it like a weekend before? I'm thinking about, I don't want to create a situation where every weekend you guys are, all of a sudden have to come and attend a meeting here every weekend, So what are some ideas? What do people think based on what we talked about so far? And then the REC, next time we meet, we're going to kind of hammer out those details. Anybody want us to share? Right now, it looks like Friday, just doing everything on Friday doesn't look good.
Thursdays, I'm always working 12-hour shifts, so that won't work for me. I'm open for the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, whatever you work out.
Okay. Would you be able to maybe make it like the Friday, the before?
Yeah, the Fridays are fine. I can't do Thursdays with work.
Okay.
That going to be by Zoom also?
Yes.
Yeah, all this stuff that's not the election will be via Zoom.
18th. That would be the 18th of June. That would be 2 Fridays before the election. If we could schedule it for then, and if we can't get all the business taken care of on that particular meeting, then have a second one pre-planned in the event we've got to meet again.
So you're saying we meet on the 11th and 18th?
No,
With
no, just I think Lori said she'd be available on the 18th. That's a Friday.
Yep.
And then maybe perhaps have something like on the 19th or something the following week by Thursday, no later than Thursday, as a follow-up to take care of any leftover business.
Okay. But we also want that spiritual part in there too. So we wanted one day for, where we could have that formation and like Leanne is mentioning too. Go ahead, Charlie.
I really like the idea of the 18th. I also like the idea that we're sending in all these reports and people can look them over. So we're not spending a lot of time of people getting up at a microphone and singing their praises of what their fraternity, how wonderful they are, which I
You're
never
right.
really, thought that the importance of that. So I think we're going to be saving a lot of time through this process. And I like the idea that Bob entertained the idea, if in the event that there is something that's held over, we can save that for the 19th. Hopefully that's not a second Saturday of the month. But,
The third Saturday.
Third Saturday.
okay, so that's fine.
And then would that 19th then be the formation day? So are you thinking maybe Friday and Saturday, 18th and 19th? Maybe 18th we would do business, and then the 19th in the evening we'd do some kind of formation, spirituality.
Well, how does that sound to Joanne is here and Leanne? So how does that sound to them? I don't.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay. Terry, did you have a question?
I do. On the 18th of June is our formators meeting that evening. Joanne, isn't that correct?
It has been planned. I guess we'd have to look at priorities.
Would that be okay?
Really?
Joanne, is that okay if we would move that to that formation day because of all the stuff going with chapter? Would that how do you think your people would feel about moving that?
I think we would consider it because I think the election is very, very important. And to prepare for that is important. So I think we'd have to really look at other options.
Okay.
Or they could join the process that is happening via Zoom.
Okay.
Or maybe that's when, Joanne, you could we could do something, the formation team, and you could do something about formation, and then we can skip our formators group that month.
That could be very well worked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
So that
said, Terry.
Maybe we could move that to the 19th, maybe, because the 18th, I think is just going to be the business part. We want to get the budget and all that kind
Oh,
of
I
stuff.
thought, oh, okay.
The 18th would be Terry, is what we're thinking with, get all the, like Leanne said, the nuts and bolts, get that taken care of. Then come back together on the 19th and let's do some formation. Maybe what the formation team's got planned for that night would be something that we could do for the whole
Mhm,
region.
right.
What about the spirituality part of it? I thought we were going to do that on the 19th.
We can do that too. Why not?
Formation Spirituality.
Yeah, formation / spirituality. What do you think,
Right.
Leanne? Could we do
I-
that together?
Yeah.
I think we could. Jerome and I'll take care of the spirituality piece.
Okay, so we could do formation and spirituality on the 19th.
Could I just
19th.
ask, what times are we talking about? So for
Okay.
Friday, are we talking only the evening and then
Yep.
Saturday all day? Or what are these times involved?
I'm thinking, especially for that Friday, the 18th, I'm thinking it's probably going to have to be the evening because,
Right,
like
but what
I
is
said,
the evening?
because people are working. I'm thinking, sometime in maybe 6 o'clock or so. I don't know. Would that be a good time to start? I'm just trying to think of something. People are working, and I don't want to go through and have people have to take off work for that. So
That's what I was wondering. That's why I was wondering, like, if it starts at 6, so are we saying 2 hours to do all the business?
I think we could get it done in 2 hours. Don't you think, Bob?
He does.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, especially if people are prepared, they read over all the stuff, Kathy will send out the minutes, we'll take a vote on the minutes, Bob will send out the financial report. I can send out a report about the minister. People can read it over. If there's any questions, people can ask. If not, we can just, I think 2 hours, we could go at 6 to 8 on that Friday, the 18th. And then that Saturday, we can come back. I don't know, maybe another evening one again.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend all day in front of a computer.
No.
I think it's,
I
I
know.
think, I think it's, one of the, Zoom is a great piece of technology, but there's only a certain amount of time you can spend in front of that computer, and then you get kind of just blasé, what I'm saying? You lose focus
Sure.
there,
And,
And
and then
so
what are we talking about for a Saturday then?
I think keep it the 6 to 8 kind of thing, and have 1 hour for formation and 1 hour for spirituality. Because any more than 2 hours, I think, everybody just gets kind of groggy. So something, an hour for each one of those 2 things, something, yeah,
That sounds Saturday, right?
yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do
2
take a
hours.
break in there too. So maybe 50 minutes, 50 to 55 minutes with
Sure.
a little bit of break.
Yeah.
So
What
you mean on
time
Saturday?
what
On
time on
Saturday.
Saturday?
6
The
o'clock
19th?
again, 6 to 8.
Okay, yeah, 6 to
Right,
8. I
but-
like that.
But Joanne just talked about a break though.
Well, so maybe we would go 6
6 to
o'clock.
9?
No, we'd go 6 to like maybe 6:50, and then we'd take a 15-minute break and come back and start again at 7:05 or 7:10, and then
Yeah.
we go to 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
That's fine.
So, okay,
Yes.
Charlie.
Just for clarification for myself, the reports that we are going to be getting sent are from the chapter that we had in 2019,
Well,
because we didn't gather in 2020. So we're going to be approving the minutes and the budget and everything. All those reports are going to be for 2019.
Yes, for the
No.
official chapter, for like the budget was kind of approved. We did that via email last time. So,
Yeah,
Right.
we did the minutes too.
okay,
So,
Yeah, so some of those things have been passed already.
yeah, those things have, right.
So
Well,
why do we
we'll just send
have
out-
to vote on them again?
No,
so maybe we don't have to vote on the minutes of the previous chapter since we voted on them.
we did
did that.
take, we did take minutes of the emails back and forth and stuff like that. We compiled some of that. The conversation that was going on.
But
We're
it's
voting-
not,
We were voting on the budget.
okay, but what I'm saying is that we have already entertained the idea of voting on those things from 2019.
But we have something from 220 also.
Oh, you do?
Okay, so Charlie, in the process of that voting, there was some emails that was going back and forth, and there was some questions that were asked, some questions that were answered. And so those kind of things will probably be part of what we'll bring up when we talk about the minutes, okay?
Okay.
I think maybe I should have the minister submit their reports by the 1st of June
Yeah.
so that I can get them out at least a week before the 18th. So
Okay.
that, you have time to read those.
Okay.
And what is the difference between rewriting another report as opposed to sending you the annual report?
Well, usually what happens, Charlie, nobody wants to go through and read a whole annual report of what you did. This is more for the other local ministers. So let's say Janet wants to know what you've been doing in your fraternity. Just highlight a few of the things that you've been doing. And, that's what all those people do. They get up, they
Right.
talk about 10 minutes or so. They give a highlight of some of the things that they've been doing. It's just a brief, less than a page there telling us some of the highlights of that you've done in the past year.
Yeah.
Just like a half a page or something.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I
Go
can handle that.
Terry has a question.
Terry,
Okay, Charlie, you know, you were talking about it's like a little bragging session, and I don't feel that way at all. I have enjoyed those little talks for years and years. And I always learn something because your fraternity is very active, and you have done some wonderful things this past year that you can pass on to other people and give them ideas of what to do. And I have always taken ideas. I take notes during that time, and I have let my fraternity know all the things that other people are doing so that we can incorporate some of those ideas into what we're doing for apostolates. So yeah, it's important, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you, Terry. Leanne,
And I agree with you, Terry, but what I'm saying is what I really appreciate is the idea of getting them written up ahead of time, giving them to Kathy. Kathy disseminates it out because I know I'm sitting, when in the past, I've been sitting there trying to get the notes for everybody's reports, and they've got 3 minutes, and you've got to,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
to have it prepared. And so we
right.
a written document of, see how beautiful this is?
It
Like
is.
all these flowers of spirituality, a garden even of the different things that people are doing in our region that we'll all have access to.
Right.
So I think this whole thing that we get this packet, and thank you, Kathy, for organizing it and all that work that takes you. So wonderful idea.
excellent. Beth,
I think you're right, Leanne, and I think that this is one of the benefits of this crazy COVID time, because we have had to be creative. And we would not have done it. We wouldn't have thought of it.
Yep.
And so that's a lot of what we're really going to be sharing, is how we handled everything.
good point. Thank you. All right, so we got some dates set up.
Yeah.
I'm going to let national people know about those dates so they're able to attend at that time period then. If everybody's is everybody kind of in agreement then with that? Anybody that
So,
is vehemently against that? Okay. All right, good. Any other things that we need to discuss before we end? We're over our time of an hour that we usually like to keep this here. So anything else?
I need to quickly talk to Terry.
Okay, so yeah, you guys can stick on if you want to. I'll keep the meeting going for you guys to talk to each other.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a minute. I did have one issue in our little group meeting today about Leslie, who does not go places alone, and she needs to be at the election, and Ellen is her driver. Is there any reason that Ellen couldn't be able to attend that election? I told her there wouldn't be an issue if Ellen was at the election. She wouldn't be able to vote, but is that okay?
What fraternity
so.
are we talking about? And
Pardon
Go
me?
on.
what fraternity is Leslie with?
Franklin, Fortune. Club.
Franklin, she's in Franklin?
Okay, well, I'll be attending if she would like to go with me, or I don't know about Jerome, but there's other people locally that will be going, so.
Sorry, that was a thought of mine to touch base with you.
Maybe she wants to ride with that national guy. Father, what is his name again? I got to go back. Go ahead, Leah.
Carrie, she's got this person that she goes with.
That she's comfortable with.
Yeah, and that's my point is sometimes people need not just a person,
Right.
but the person. And I would think being somewhat handicapped myself, I would want one of my friends, or maybe could go to the bathroom or help me with this or that, or, you know, whatever.
Okay.
So if she's got a caregiver kind of person.
Well, it's Ellen Jennings.
Yeah,
I just
Oh,
don't
well,
want to travel
perfect.
far.
I don't see any issue with that at all. Another person coming for that reason, you know, they're not coming there because, you know, they're
No.
crashing the party. They're coming because they want to, you know, they're helping out.
Right.
Right. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
I just don't like traveling long distances alone.
yeah.
Typically, I can drive alone, but not
Yeah.
that far.
And the other thing is that we have to take into consideration that we're Franciscans, so you know, allowing that to happen, I think, is
Right.
very Franciscan and important. So
Good.
Carl, could you give me your phone number right now in case that's in case I decide to do that?
My number?
Yes, please.
Sure.
If you want to type it into the chat, that'll be good. If you don't mind everybody else knowing it, so.
I don't care who has it.
Go ahead, I'm ready. I'm ready to write it down.
Okay, a couple more people here. Bob, go ahead.
I had put out that, let's not forget that we also need to have a teller, 2 tellers and a secretary for the election. Those
That's
are
right.
people who are non-voting members. And they're there just to go and help the presider out.
Maybe Ellen could do that.
Yeah,
Ellen
That
could do
makes
that, and
sense.
maybe some of, you know, I'm gonna talk to my fraternity tomorrow, and maybe if, you know, there might be somebody from
Yeah.
my
Maybe
fraternity.
Beth's husband will be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mary Jane said if you needed somebody, then she would be able to come and do
Okay,
that too.
Good, so there we
Oh,
go.
good.
Mary Jane and Ellen. Ask Ellen if she'd be interested in being a teller.
What does the
Um,
teller do again?
it-
I was
it-
writing down the number from
It's
Charlie.
an easy job. All you gotta do is count votes,
Oh, okay.
so,
I will mention that to her.
okay.
Yeah,
Sharon.
would I, because I'm
Go ahead.
not elected to anything, would I be able to be a tiller?
Yeah, if you plan on coming to Green Bay, you could be a teller, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got a few.
Yeah,
Good.
you could do it.
But just like, so are you coming as a minister? Because you can't be a minister and a teller.
But I'm like, what am I?
You were just professed, so I don't think you're a minister yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
they are up and coming. people.
I'm really professed. I'm just here because I do the website.
yeah. And your position is a non-voting position, so you could be the teller, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right,
Right, from St. Joseph Fraternity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're standing
Yeah.
in for someone then
yeah,
tonight.
because you were appointed to that position, you're not voted into that position, so you're not.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So
All right.
again, it's trying to balance the secular Franciscan with the COVID side. It's absolutely marvelous that we are gathering, but if we can keep the gathering to the essential people that have to be there, which would be the ministers, the tellers, the national representatives, the regional executive committee.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that's what we're doing.
Great.
We're gonna, well, I think what I'll make sure is that I'll find out for sure who the tellers are for that day, and then we'll make sure that those people will be the ones there. Okay,
Perfect.
all right, we got a lot more questions here. Connie, go ahead.
One more question. Then when you were going through the list of the people who have to be there, if someone from our fraternity offered to be on the ballot, that does not mean they have to be at the meeting, from what I just heard.
Exactly, they don't have to be at the chapter of elections. So if they're, you know, they can let us know they're interested in running for that position. They're not, you know, they want to run for a counselor or whatever position it is, their name will be on the ballot, but they do not have to be present to be elected, you know. They have to let us know that they're interested in it, you know, so. Go ahead, Sharon.
Thank you. Nobody has mentioned food for Saturday. Those of us that are going to be there, did we decide on brown bag? Or are we going to cater in sub sandwiches? What are we going to do for food?
REC, I think we're gonna talk about that at our next meeting, Sharon. I think it would be easier just to maybe cater something in, maybe get like a sub sandwich send in or something like that for everybody, and then we could have some kind of food that way, maybe, if anybody's opposed to anything like that.
I thought we did decide on that Saturday.
I don't think we.
It wasn't mentioned today. That's. And
No, it wasn't mentioned
these are some
today.
of the people that are going to be there that Saturday.
So I'm thinking, Sharon, that we're gonna, the REC will get something planned where we'll have some food catered in, okay?
Kind of like a boxed lunch kind of deal where, again,
Exactly.
we just grab it, it's individually packaged,
Exactly,
and that's it.
exactly. So something
Cool.
that's very, very simple because of COVID, and, you know, something that will give you some nourishment there.
We just
What
don't
is
want
the,
people leaving to get us, you know, a burger or something. We want everybody to stay there.
Hey, Charlie,
What is the location of St. Mary of the Angels? West side, east side?
It's on the east side of Green Bay. I have to look up the address here, Charlie, but I'll make sure that everybody gets that. But if you do a Google search, St. Mary of the Angels Church in Green Bay, you'll find it. But
So I coming from Milwaukee would take I-43 and be right there on the east side already, right?
yeah, you would take I-43 and you'd probably get off at Mason Street, and then you take Brayson all the way in there till you get to Baird Avenue, and then you take a left on Baird, and then another right there at the first street, and you'd be right there.
Good enough.
Okay.
All right, good, we got that. Anybody else? Thank you, everybody. Leanne, any final thoughts? Any kind of way to send us out here? You know, maybe.
Yeah, I think that our time together has been very fruitful of taking a look at the region, taking a look at its strengths and its leadership, and taking a look into the future to see what the future holds for all of us as we work together. So these Zoom meetings, exactly what you've been saying, brought us together so we can have a wider conversation. And so I pray that I'm going to say this prayer for all of you. Don't worry about anything, for don't you know it's true? A loving God has launched the ship that gently carries you. Each boat that sails the sea of life, that rocks with every storm, is guided through the straits of faith to a harbor safe and warm. The hand that knit you in the womb will never cease to care. A ballast in the wildest wind, and a love that's always there. And each person hears a special call that beckons them alone, while God provides along the way the stars and Holy Spirit to guide you home. Amen.
Amen. Before we leave, do we want to meet next April and May, or should we wait because we have chapter coming up? We're going to have all those meetings in June. Do you want to gather again in April? What do you guys think?
Well, Easter's on the 4th, so.
Yeah. So it'd have to be either the 11th or 18th. Is there an interest to schedule some more of these gatherings?
How, Jeff, how much will the final arrangements be final by the middle of April?
Well, the REC meets on April 10th, so we'll probably have a pretty good hammering out of what it'll look like. So maybe it would be a good idea to meet on that, maybe the 11th or 18th, and kind of give you guys a preview of what's going on. So why don't we do that? Which day is better for everybody, the 11th or the 18th?
I prefer the 18th.
Okay.
I'm putting forward that could we just have off for April?
Okay. Okay, so Laura wants off.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, if we do that one in April, then we wouldn't need one in May, and then we'd have it in June.
So maybe skip it. Can we skip May, Laura, and then just do April to kind of give everybody the final? If you're able to attend, that's great. If you're not, we understand. We can give you the notes.
In the 18th?
Yeah, the 18th. Does that sound good?
April 18th.
If that's the majority, the 18th?
Yeah, 18th of April. Do you like this 4:30 time?
Hey, whatever works for you guys. 4:30 is fine.
Is that okay? This 4:30 time again?
Sure.
Okay,
Jeff,
so
I'll turn my clock off. I mean, I'll turn my microphone off.
Okay.
That shows you what time it is.
Could we, just for the nominating committee, could we set that date as inviting the ministers, if they're going to submit any names, to have them to us, maybe that Thursday before?
Charlie, if it's okay for the nominating committee, let's me and Mary Jane, I'll send an email out tonight And the three of us, we'll work out our calendar really quick here.
Real good.
I think outside of this.
Okay, and keep in touch with email, everybody.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. And so Beth and Terry, you guys can stay on and talk.
Please, just for a moment.
Yeah, okay. Everybody else, thanks a lot for coming. Have a great rest of the day, okay? Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
I'll
Right.
call you,
Stay
Leanne.
safe.
I'll call you, Leanne.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
What Terry, what I need to know is, we had originally been set up for visitations, and we kind of wanted to be able to make sure we know when it is going to be, because the one was supposed to be in May, and I don't know that we're going to be able to gather in May yet. There's a chance we won't. We're too big. And so if we can have them both in, what was it, July, I believe. Can we have both at the same time?
Definitely.
Okay,
Pastoral and fraternal, yes, we can
Right.
do them both. I'll have to talk with Brother Jerome and we'll
Okay.
plan it so that we have enough time to do both.
right,
And it will be then a little different because I'd like to meet with the council first
sure,
for at least half an hour and
Right.
then attend the meeting as well.
right, right. And we'll have all sorts of new people for you to meet too.
Okay, wonderful.